Hello, everybody. Welcome to the rebirth of the Patriarchy Show. I am Ian Erickson, and the new co-host is Question Most Things. Question, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right. So hopefully I don't get sick for another year, and we can keep doing this. Right now, have to discuss the song. This is Marilyn Manson, Astonishing Panorama of the End Times. And the reason why I chose it, because it sounds cool. It reminds me of Old Ministry. You ever listen to that stuff?
Old Ministry.
Yeah, old Ministry. Anything like industrial rock, Nine Inch Nails. You ever listen to that?
Yeah, Nine Inch Nails. Yeah,
Nine Inch Nails.
I'm not familiar with Old Ministry.
Old Ministry. Well, they did a pretty famous song that they play in a lot of like goth industrial clubs. I think it's called Halloween. Every Day is Halloween. That's like more of a slow song. This is like Jesus and the Hot Rod, a Psalm 69 sort of guitar riff. So we critique the song, therefore we can't have a copyright strike, right? Is that how that works?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah.
You're the mind wizard behind all of this.
Mind wizard. Well, yeah, that's what I read on the internet. That's what the internet told me. Well, we had an intro, and I listened to it over and over and over again. I was like, "Oh, this is fucking cringe. Nah, can't do it." Yeah, the guy didn't read it right. The energy was off. The background music sucked. So we're just going to have a random song play us in whenever we do this. Hopefully every week. And I guess next week you get the pick.
Sure. I'm good with that.
All right. So what's first? Trump should be speaking in front of Mount Rushmore right now.
I thought that he was held off by protesters.
Yeah. This is the duality of it all. So he's going to go. There's going to be bald eagles flying. It's going to be like the meme of him on the tank that everyone has T-shirts of. Like with a bald eagle on his arm, on a tank, with the American flag in the background, with jets, with missiles flying overhead, fireworks everywhere.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it's going to be Team America.
Yeah, I don't think that blocking the sovereign's path to a national monument is covered by the right to peacefully protest.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. I just... Well, what can you even say about this? It's so stupid.
I give up is basically what happens. Well, the reason why I took off for so long and haven't done the show or any other streams really, it's not because I got blackpilled, because that's you sit in that bed for so long you end up wanting to kill yourself. I got sick. I'm literally disabled. You know that. Sometimes I get sick where I can't even crawl out of bed for a week or 2 weeks. It sucks, but it's part of life. But I am able to see my children grow up, like the new baby. I was able to see 9 months of him grow up, without any interruptions. So that was kind of cool. He's 17 months now. My newest little blonde hair, blue-eyed baby, my little Aryan baby.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Congratulations again on that.
Thank you. And hoping for a fourth. So hoping for a fourth. There's a way to do that. I forgot the
way. You need a daughter to drive all your sons crazy.
Yeah, no. I can't have it. No, I want another son, and I want to name him Gunner. I already have the name picked out. That's how it's supposed to go.
What does your wife say about that?
We actually, when we first got married, we made a deal. If it was a girl, she was allowed to pick the names. If it was a boy, I'm allowed to pick the names. We've had 3 boys. Therefore, I've gotten to pick all the names.
Do you ever troll her and come up with ridiculous names?
Yeah, sometimes. I think Johann was one of them because it's so foreign. It's so European.
Just say Constantine. And the next day say Valerian.
Yeah. I think I said Constantine. I've said Vlad. I think
Say Tiberium.
Tiberian.
Tiber.
I would like Alexander, but it's too common for me. I like something that isn't crazy rare, like Apple, but isn't crazy common, like Alexander. No offense to any Alexanders out there. I like the name, but something right in like Ian. It's normal, I guess, in the UK and some of America. I mean, people still go Ian. Like, you never heard the name Ian in your life? Ian? I don't know.
No, I've not heard the name Ian.
You've never heard the name Ian?
I've never heard of such a name.
No, like when you go to the DMV or whatever, they go, Ian Eckerson. It clearly says Erickson, first off. People call me Eric. People call me Eric all the time.
Well, this is a result of dropping average IQ.
Yeah, we were talking about that. You were saying it's dropped how many points over the last 100 years?
14 points.
And this is in America, right?
This is in all the Western countries.
All the Western world, right?
Yeah.
So since 1890, the IQ has dropped 14 points, and the average IQ right now in the West is hovering around 100. So therefore, it would have been 115 back then.
We normalize it so that it is 100, but if you work backwards, their intelligence would have been what we would consider today to be like 114. So, I mean, we're not moving towards a singularity,
right? Like
some people talk about. We're moving towards not having indoor plumbing.
Yeah, we're going the wrong way. We were talking off air about the reasons for that. What do you think some of the reasons are, like historically speaking, and the current context?
Well, right now it's accelerating because we're getting lots of immigration from low IQ countries, but historically it's because women are not high IQ women are not having more children than low IQ women. It's that simple. You have to. It's actually quite amazing because at 114, 1890 we have 114 IQ on average, and then and then in the 1920s we get the eugenics movement, and it gets squashed. That was the opportunity to actually reverse the decline and actually ascend, to actually continue the growth rate up in good traits. I mean, it's pretty astonishing. Just like, oh, that was the window, and now we're here. Now we're here with Miley Cyrus, and
my wife told me that she dated or married Thor. You know what I'm talking about?
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, Thor. Yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, his brother.
Oh, his brother. Okay, yeah. See, this is how much I don't care. But yeah, and she said that his family had to get a restraining order or call the cops because he was so crazy. She kept bringing him into her, drugs, fucking psychopathic sort of scenes, and they had to basically yell at it. Like the family had to get involved.
Wow. Yeah. She's just so obviously trouble. I mean, the surprising thing really is how long she was able to keep that under control.
Right. Just daddy's girl sort of thing.
Yeah. How she was just a Disney princess, in real life Disney princess for so long. And now, she's just, I mean, at this time, it's not even like a matter of when or if she's going to have a sex tape leaked. It's going to be how bad is it going to be?
Well, they say mania and bipolar disorder doesn't start to show until you're in your late teens to mid 20s. So if really it kind of goes hands in hand. Bipolar, I think schizoaffective disorder and a lot of these types of mental illnesses don't really come into fruition until around when she started going off the cliff. So it kind of makes sense if you follow the medical books.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting idea. I'm not sure if she's actually crazy or just kind of low impulse control, low conscientiousness, very high openness kind of person. I mean that was my impression. Very high extroversion, but maybe she is actually bipolar or something.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be surprising.
The mania drives her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I know bipolar people, and it really there are some people who say they're bipolar, right? And they're not bipolar. They're not bipolar, and I think it's overdiagnosed. Every mental illness, for that matter, is overdiagnosed, right? I mean, I think we could agree on that. For pharmaceutical reasons, and people getting money for each antipsychotic that's created. The pharmaceutical companies, the DM, whatever it's called, the diagnostic manual, DSM. It grew. It's been through editions 1 through 5, and it's pretty much quadrupled each time it's been published. So the first time was only 50. Then the second time there was 100. Then the third time it was like 382. Then the fourth time there it was like 500. And now I think there's close to 1,000 disorders in the DSM-5.
Wow.
Yeah,
around
there. I think
it's
894. I want to say the number is, without googling, 64, something like that. But yeah, there's all sorts of fun disorders.
Nice.
Yeah, Thaddeus Belmont says, I think most bipolars are borderline. Yeah, agreed. It's just that sometimes the mania, when people are manic, what distinguishes it from borderline is the psychosis that comes with it, hearing voices, seeing things, that sort of thing. I don't think borderlines have that aspect with their diagnoses. A lot of the same medical treatment, but they don't hear things when they're super manic. And anyway, how did we get there? Miley.
Yeah.
No, I just read a book this week. You ever hear about the Psychopath Test by John Ronson?
That's I think I know what this is, but go ahead and say it.
It was written like 8 years ago, and essentially it's just a narrative about how the author, the journalist, he stumbled into like these clues. Then he stumbled into being able to tell if someone's a psychopath or not, and what a psychopath is, and how it's been diagnosed. And there's a checklist. It's called the Hare Checklist. It was developed by a Canadian psychiatrist, and it has 40 different personality traits. And if you have 30 or more of these personality traits, you're a psychopath. And he thinks that 1% of the population is made up of psychopaths. Now, again, overdiagnosis, but that's what they say. And if you study the checklist or go to the seminar, and you can become a psychopath spotter.
Yeah. So yeah, the test I heard was, let me give you the test really quick.
Okay.
And we can see if it's different. A woman goes to her mother's funeral, and she meets a man there that she is romantically interested in. He's quite charming, quite handsome.
Right.
And she goes home and kills her sister. Why did she kill her sister?
I don't think it's. I think those can be prodding questions in the checklist, but it's a literal checklist. Like they ask the different questions, different ways.
Well,
I don't know about that one.
The psychopath answer is because she thought that the man would show up to her sister's funeral.
Okay.
That's like an answer that a psychopath would give. Most normal people can't fathom why she would do it.
Right. Yeah. Psychopaths like to. They're curious. They like to see how things play out. They wear meat suits. They kind of go through the stages of emotions. They don't really feel the emotions. They act out the emotions so they can seem normal, but they're just. I don't know. From what I was reading, it just seems like they're really, really freaking curious to the point where morality ends. There is none for them. But to say that there's so many of them, I mean, they could be CEOs. They could be, who knows?
CEOs are the highest for sociopathy, the highest occupation.
Okay.
And then it's lawyers, and then
Lawyers.
media personalities, and then journos. I think is the sixth.
Okay. That would make sense.
All of our enemies are psychopaths.
So now we're getting to the root of it all.
I think chefs are on there too.
Chefs?
Chefs.
Maybe because they're perfectionists of some sort.
I guess so. I could see that for Gordon Ramsay. Just
he's bipolar.
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
A psychopath. I always said Gordon Ramsay, from just the little hints and phrases that he's dropped over time, like with Brexit. His only comment that I've read on the internet about Brexit was that it's good that more British chefs will be in the spotlight. I'm paraphrasing. It's a good thing, or that British chefs will be in the spotlight as a result of this. He didn't say it was a good thing, but he said that this will be a result of Brexit. So I'm thinking he kind of was for it. He lives like a natural lifestyle. Lives in like the woods. Has goats. He has a big farm in the countryside. He has like a bunch of kids, a wife. You never hear stories of him cheating. I at least I don't. And I always said he would be good to put up as prime minister because he's very Trumpian. Very, very outspoken. Very, he reality TV star sort of. Made himself in the country.
I think that's who Mencius Moldbug said he would want for king. Is Gordon
Ramsay? Yeah. Why not? Yeah, exactly.
He would just go through like the budget. Like, what's this? What's this? Why are we sending money to Pakistan?
Exactly, and he would just get rid of it. I mean, that was what I thought was one of the reasons so many people in independents and went to Trump. Because they wanted for decades, we heard people cry, we want a politician who isn't a typical politician. We want somebody who isn't a politician. We want to put somebody in there that doesn't have 50 years in politics like Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton does. So that's what the, rapport was with Trump, is he wasn't a politician. And the first time he ran for anything politics related, he became president. But I see the media taking him serious now. They didn't really take him serious back in 2015, 2016, but now it's a full frontal assault on the guy. It's just, I've never seen anything like it. I'm 39 years old. I worked in the Bush campaign in 2004. I worked in many local different elections. This is back when I was early 20s, and you're an intern and you work for the Republican Party. Believe me, I've seen a lot, and my eyes have opened a lot since then. But this has been the most divisive I've ever seen it. And even my grandfather, he says it's even more divisive than in the late 60s, when the race riots were happening in like Newark and around the country, when Vietnam was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an absolute mess. And, I wish I could ask leftists who think this is like an actual revolution. It's like, no, this is a faux revolution done by elites using an underclass. It's a recreational underclass.
You're right.
Like a lot of these Antifa people are professors and
sons and daughters of professors.
Yeah, they have college degrees.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of them are druggies.
Yep.
Homeless drug addicts who don't care about getting arrested.
You see a lot of those types in the Northwest.
Yeah, they have face tattoos and so forth. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, what in the world? Just absolute madness that these. There was a deformed goblin person who was berating the police about being uneducated. It's like, how is this a workers' revolt?
Yeah.
How are you parading your privilege of, I sound like a leftist when I say that, but parading your privilege of being super educated around these workers who are really have extremely difficult jobs and just shit upon.
here's a question. When do you think the police officers on the streets, the ones who patrol the neighborhoods, the ones, who drive in the cars, who has to deal with this every day, are going to stop listening to their bosses? It's probably their bosses that are making
Never.
them turn on the working class. You don't think
Never.
they'll ever go, fuck this?
Never. I heard this interesting story from Greg Johnson, that there was a guy who started as a policeman under Imperial Germany, and then World War I ended, and he was a policeman under the Weimar Republic, and then then the Nazi rose to power, and he was a policeman under the Third Reich, and then the World War II ended, and he was a policeman under Communist East Germany. He's not.
He just went with whatever was
happening.
happening.
Whoever is clearing the checks.
Yeah.
Whoever is clearing the checks. In the chat, George Washington says, "Tomorrow is my birthday. Happy birthday, man! Congratulations."
You made it. However many years you are.
Yeah, have a nice hamburger and celebrate.
Stolat. Yeah. That's Polish. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because it's generations of Polish that weren't around the language. Because that's the only Polish I know is the Happy Birthday song.
In the chat, Thaddeus Belmont says this is all a class issue, but elites are making it out to be a race issue. No, it's a race issue. There are certain groups of people who don't like white people.
Yes.
And they are using other races to attack white people because they don't feel safe around whites. And I mean, we know that the core of identity is race. It's not your class. The core identity.
You could argue it could be like in the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s for the most part. A little bit. It was there. There was something to it. A lot of people, doing the whole Martin Luther King Jr. thing, content of the character, not the color of your skin. I don't see color.
Well, okay,
now it's so segmented. There is nothing else but.
If we judged Martin Luther King on the content of his character,
yeah, he would be a naughty boy.
Yeah, I mean, we would stop calling him Dr. Martin Luther King because he plagiarized. We have him laughing about rape jokes, about raping a white woman on tape. Whether or not that actually happened is
he had extramarital affairs too, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, extramarital affairs, all kinds of prostitutes running around. I mean, this guy was. If you actually judged him on the content of his character, he would not be an important person that is worshipped. It is purely for racial reasons that he has streets all over the United States named after him.
But what I'm saying is we were kind of there. We used to be able to make jokes about each other in front of like a Guinea and a Polak. Like I'm in New Jersey, so I had a lot of Italian friends.
Okay.
We'd be able to make fun of one another.
Yeah, sure.
Even my black friends, we would be able to make fun of one another. You fucking Polak, shut up, you. And we would all the time. But now,
well, okay, you look at. I mean, I think of the Rodney King riots, right? I mean, 60 people dead, 2,000 people injured.
No respect.
2,000 people injured. I mean, people being. Am I saying that Rodney King?
I don't know. It's King? I just remember the King riots.
Yeah, LA riots.
Yeah,
you're confusing me now.
Rodney King Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The LA riots, 60 people dead, 2,000 injured. I mean, people just being pulled out of their trucks, and murdered for being white, and that's what we're seeing now: is people just being attacked for being white.
You've seen the few attacks that have happened where the guys just walk up to old white people and punch them in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane. Just because they're old white people. Therefore, they're probably racist. Therefore, must punch in the face.
No,
and
they're just idiots.
Go ahead. And another thing that's happening that our buddy Rich wrote about a year ago, and I'm sure we've both thought of and spoken about is blacks being able to get away with their violence by saying, "Well, call me the N-word."
Yeah.
So it was coming to him.
Yeah.
And it's that you see it happen all the time whenever. a white person seemingly is assaulted for no reason, like that guy in the Macy's.
Yeah.
It comes out, didn't say that N-word. And how, I don't understand how you can be so upset over a word. And this is coming from a straight up white guy. I understand it's an offensive word. I understand it has a history of racism and bigotry and blah, 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 blah. But you say it in traffic while you're driving at anybody. When someone cuts you off, regardless of what they are, you call them a
Democrat.
Yeah, a Democrat.
Stupid jogger.
F-GGOT-N-word. You know, you say the worst things. You think of the worst things possible in the English language, and that's what comes out of your mouth.
You call them a jogger.
Now you have to call him a jogger.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use that word. I use it jokingly. I can't use it on here because we're on YouTube and podcasts and whatever. Yeah. But if it was in a joke, or if you're quoting something, or if you're a wigger, you know, and you're singing NWA, but that's not even acceptable anymore. And there's a video of Joe Biden quoting and saying the word, and if I would play it now, but if we played it, we'd probably get taken down. Yeah. Joe Biden in 1985 reading something off and says, "I don't want this N-word mayor or this N-word police chief." Joe Biden actually said that. Now, imagine they've been searching for the so-called N-word Trump tape forever, you know, for years now. And even if it was just like a sneeze that sounded like it, it would be all over the place. Here, there's a video of Joe Biden saying it twice, and nobody knows about it. Nobody knows about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. You know, normies think that the right and left have a tug of war going on. And you have to realize that actually the Republicans are slowly letting down a pulley, with the weight on the other side being the Democrat side. You know, that's what's happening. And I think, you know, the obvious thing to do with Joe Biden is just to run ads of him groping women constantly, little girls, women, adult men, just constantly groping them, and just play these over and over again. And I don't think that Fox is going to do it. I think they're going to give it a pass because, you know, they're more liberal than they let on. They kind of resent having to pander to these right-wing hicks or whatever.
They must hate the fact that Tucker Carlson is their number one show. They must.
Absolutely.
And Tucker's been in politics for decades now. And
he doesn't talk about Israel enough.
No, but you take what you can get. You take, and his positions have been pretty solid on what he has brought up, at least. And there's certain things that you just can't say or criticize on, you know, 8 p.m. time slots on, you know, a national news network. This is just the world we live in. You know, regardless of how you question it or how you bring up the subject, even if it's with, you know, all the facts on the internet behind it, it doesn't matter. It's just a moral, emotional response from the viewers or the people who are in charge. There is no rational conversation when it comes to race, when it comes to Israel or this rabbinical Judaism that was created. It's only emotion. It's only but this or but the Holocaust and 6 million, and you can't have a normal conversation. Well, what about this in the Talmud where it says Jesus is XYZ? What does it say? You said it says something. I know it says terrible things about Mary and Jesus.
It says that Jesus is being boiled in human excrement.
Yeah. That's the Babylonian one, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, you can't bring these things up. That's why people, you know, when they could find dissident shows, they like to tune in because we're Tucker plus. Not as good as, don't get me wrong. We're nowhere, maybe you are, but I'm nowhere, I don't speak for it. I'm nowhere near Tucker Carlson levels of amazingness and interview skills. But they don't talk about the issues properly. And that's just to keep us all distracted. Before we came on, we were talking about how they're doing the Huxley model, Brave New World, where they're just stuffing information into everybody as much as possible, as fast as people can consume it. So they're just consuming. They don't have an opinion except for whatever emotional, moral norm is acceptable at the time. And right now, BLM is acceptable. All that stuff, because the corporations are going with it. Pride, so that's what is morally acceptable. So that's what they automatically go with, as far as their emotional responses are concerned. They don't go to church anymore. Who goes to church? What is that? They don't read the Bible. No one prays the rosary. Forget it.
Yeah, it's amazing how they've created this whole new morality, new tradition set, and people just go with it. I mean, it doesn't matter that Black Lives Matter has destroyed $500 million of property in Minnesota.
Yeah,
that doesn't matter.
And didn't the governor ask for federal assistance?
Yeah, he asked for $500 million.
But it's all Trump's fault.
Yeah, it's all Trump's fault. Even though since 2015, shootings of unarmed people, but maybe unarmed black men, or I forget the stat that I heard, it's down 60%. It's falling incredibly rapidly.
Right.
And
aside from New York City, but that's a
well now it's no by police, shootings by police.
Oh, shootings by police. Okay.
And now they're just, it's a free for all. I mean, this is an astonishing fact. If you want to know about black on black violence, right now in Cameroon they have something called the Anglophone crisis, it's the Francophone crisis, and 80% of Cameroon speaks French. 20% speak English, and so the French ones are genociding the English ones. They have about 30,000.
Are they the same technical race?
Yeah, they're all Bantus. It's just that they speak different languages because of European colonialism.
Right.
So they've about 180. This was last year. 180 soldiers have died in this. 400 civilians that they know of have been killed in this.
Right.
And there's about 30,000 English speakers that have been displaced to Nigeria. And this doesn't even make the news.
Yeah, no one talks about it.
Instead, they talk about some guy who was supposedly choked to death while having 4 times the lethal limit of fentanyl in his system.
Well, that's the Saint. They did it with Dr. Martin, Saint Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now they're going to do it with St. Floyd. They're going to name street. They already have been unofficially renaming streets after him. I'm sure there will be schools soon to follow. George Floyd Elementary. You could do meth when you sign in. You could punch a pregnant woman. Come to our school, learn how to punch pregnant women. So what do you think is going to happen to Epstein's accomplice?
I think I don't think she's going to be suicided in prison.
No Sudoku.
No Sudoku in prison. I think she's going to get some very good federal marshals guarding her.
You don't think she'll get COVID and die of COVID?
Maybe. Who knows? There'll be some sarin in her meatloaf or something. I mean, who knows? Like, honestly, some very important people want her dead, but I think that was such an embarrassing thing for the federal government. I mean, just such a. I mean, that might be the biggest embarrassment since Waco. That Epstein killed himself,
right?
In an impossible way while in custody, while the camera malfunctioned. I mean, it's so stupid. and it's such a black eye for them that I think they're going to have like an armed detail, a 24/7 armed detail of federal agents on her.
Now, do you know much about Waco? Because I have superficial knowledge about it, but I'm not like educated about, like, I don't know anyone aside from David Koresh, right? Was that Waco? Koresh? Davidians, or is that someone else?
Branch Davidians. I don't know the guy's name. I'm not an expert on Waco, but I know some about it. Yeah.
Waco. Hold on. All right, let's see here. Yeah, the Waco siege. That was David Koresh. Okay. Now, do you know what their crime was? Why they did that?
I think what they were talking about was that he was molesting kids or something.
So you just make it up.
Well, yeah. I mean that's boilerplate, right? You know, just of course they killed all the kids. I mean, what was it, like I forget how many people died in Waco.
I'm looking right now. It says
1,000, 100,
80 to 132. How did they? No, that's how many were armed. Sorry, 70, 82 total. 6 82. Killed on February 28th. 76 killed on April 19th.
Yeah, I just kind of remembered it as like, is it 100? Is it 1,000? Like it's
a high.
Like you just round it to that. But wow, I typed in Waco and it took me to Waco miniseries.
No,
it's like no. And of course that they in the miniseries they make out that it was a great tragedy, and very terrible, and you know, how could this happen?
And they killed the kids, right? Like you said, there was 25 children there. They killed 25 children and 2 pregnant women.
Yeah, and wow. Of course, what actually happened is the federal agents posed in the ashes of the building. You know, they took trophy shots.
And then that was right after Ruby Ridge.
Yeah. So
they had Ruby Ridge, and then they went and just did it again. Clinton didn't give a shit, did he? No.
I mean, it's amazing. In the miniseries, they carry water for Clinton. The idea, it's really amazing that liberals can honestly say that the deep state is a conspiracy theory while also claiming that liberal presidents have no responsibility for these acts.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like police brutality issues. It's usually Democrat city councils, Democrat mayor, Democrat senator, one or both, and a Democrat governor. I mean, it's all Democrat, but they go and they point at Trump somehow, who's been in politics for 3 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, the question is, does the executive branch have agency independent of the president? And the answer is, of course they do. Of course they do. And but they just the liberals will never admit it. I mean, if Obama talked about the deep state, then yeah, they'd be all over it, saying, "Oh, the deep state, it's so bad." It's like, well, did Clinton order this or did Clinton not order this?
All right, I'm going to put in the chat a link to the video of Joe Biden saying the N-word. So I don't want to play it because I know we'll get axed, even though it's up somewhere else. But they can take the chance, I guess. And if it's right there for those that don't believe me. If you go on Google and try to search Joe Biden N-word, it's buried. But if you go DuckDuckGo search engine, it's like the top 1 or 2 results. So use DuckDuckGo for your search engine when looking for it. Google tried to burn it out.
Yeah, of course there are spicier takes, as I say, BitChute tier takes on Waco.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Would not be allowed on YouTube
or the podcasts for certain. I'm really surprised that and I probably going to happen. My buddy Ryan Katsu Rivera, he's the producer for Gavin McInnes' show. Gavin, he owns Censor.tv, and they're getting ready for getting booted out of the App Store on Apple and Google. It's only a matter of time, and they're not like BitChute level, they're like normal kind of sort of.
Yeah, I mean they
And they have Soph. I'm surprised they haven't, just because they have Soph on their network, they haven't been booted because of her.
yeah, it's really astonishing. When we win, we can't give these people free speech. And I
Right.
don't mean Gavin and Soph. I mean we can't allow our enemies to have free speech. They have shown what their intentions are. Their intentions are to censor anyone that complains about them at all, that talks about what they're doing, and they're going to try to genocide us.
Right.
And they think it's funny.
Well, I always was under the assumption that social media acted like the new town square, right? And these are early assumptions before the great canceling of 2015. Of course, that the social media, MySpace. Were you ever banned on MySpace? I was never banned on MySpace.
No,
I say bring back Tom. We got
really,
a petition.
It's really interesting that we had this golden era when you could actually comment on things. Media would speak to you and you could speak back.
Right.
That's what the comment section was.
Because they weren't publishers.
Yeah, everyone was a publisher. And now they're really trying to clamp down on that really hard.
Right.
I mean, Stefan Molyneux bent over backwards.
Yes.
To comply with the rules that he saw, and to the point that I lost a lot of respect for him.
But that's his. It's kind of tough. You keeping a job, a roof over your head. Doesn't he have kids? Does he have kids?
He has a family. He has a kid.
When family, probably older. But when family comes into the picture, it's tougher. I'm lucky, unlucky, where I don't have to worry about getting fired. Because good luck with that. You want to convince the president to stop sending checks? That's fine. And and when I'm healthy, of course I do stuff like this. And I like DoorDash. DoorDash is fun. You make good money doing that. Anyway, I was saying that there was this golden age of social media where you could say anything. The line was around 2015, 2016 is when they really put the hammer down on everybody.
Yeah.
But I was under the assumption that social media was the new town hall, like the town crier. You can go in the middle of social media and say anything you want, and people just react, and that was it. But how my naivety, was because in New Jersey, it's the only state where you can hand out political flyers or voice yourself politically in all the country is New Jersey, because of a New Jersey Supreme Court ruling that said malls were the new town square. And being from New Jersey, I was just under that assumption that social media fell under the same branch. But
yeah, it's really bizarre.
But can't someone, a good lawyer, someone make that argument in the Supreme Court that this is the new town square?
I mean, it's just to believe that the Supreme Court is like this objective body of wise legal scholars. It's like, no, this is a group of interested political actors.
Yeah, but if you get enough right wingers on there, maybe they'll side.
Well, we saw how that worked with Kennedy and now Kavanaugh. I mean, Kennedy was the deciding vote in Obamacare.
No, Bolton or John Roberts. I thought John Roberts.
Okay, maybe I got that wrong.
Yeah, that was a Bush appointee.
Yeah, but I mean, you just can't rely on these people because they actually are kind of like these calculators who are more left wing than the people they represent typically are.
Well, there's originalists, and then there's people who believe the Constitution is a living document, and
I believe it's living. I think
that's what the amendment process is for.
We should amend it to throw commies out of helicopters.
Yeah, but that's what the amendment process is. But the judges on the left and many times on the right are interpreting it according to the political leanings and not what the intent of the word is. And I think even Madison, who wrote some of the amendments, he got ruled against his own words, using his own words in 1805. I can't remember. Vaguely familiar with the case, but he's the guy that wrote it. He got ruled against. So I don't know. That's blackpilling. Let's talk about something nice. So Trump, did he do his song and dance?
I don't know.
Let's see.
I'm talking to you. I'm not watching it.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Who knew? All right, let's see here. Trump to condemn merciless campaign. Trump totally serious about his face on Mount Rushmore. Oh, here they're starting to spin, and let's see here.
Well, they're building the moral case in the mind of the public that Rushmore should be torn down. Right. So what they're doing is, the first step is to ask the question, in a slightly biased way, but just asking the question is starting the process. So should Mount Rushmore be torn down? Like they're polling this, and of course, like only 10% of people think that it should be. Like this is a wildly unpopular opinion, but they're going to make it work.
What's the window? We always talk. I can't. It's been so long since I talked online.
The window for what?
Moving. What's it called? To moving political opinion into more.
Overton window.
Overton window. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, the way they phrased the question was, should we tear it down because it's a monument to wrongs, or can we learn from those wrongs?
That's terrible.
So you can't say this is a monument to America or a monument to great men. Those aren't options anymore.
No,
you can't say that those men are great men.
You have to pluck them out of their time frame in history and put them up to today's moral standards. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Theodore Roosevelt, really? Him removed from the Museum of Natural History in New York? I was like, when I saw that, I was like, Teddy Roosevelt? I wrote a long, stupid Facebook post to all my friends, and I got called a racist. Because I thought it...
Because you're white. That's why you were called a racist.
Yeah.
If you try to prove you're not a racist, that just makes you more racist.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. George Washington says it happened with gay marriage and BLM as far as the Overton window. You're absolutely right. Slippery slope.
Yeah.
And I said it back in 2005. I said 2006. And whenever I would argue with left wingers or liberals, I said it's a slippery slope, and they would go logical fallacy. There's no.
Well, that is a logical fallacy. The correct argument. It's kind of like one of these things. The correct argument is no. They're incrementalists that lie. That is the pattern of the left, and that's the correct argument to make, because the thing about all fallacies are forms of non sequitur. You can justify anything with slippery slope. You can say it's a slippery slope that if we get a dog, then we're going to have to get a second dog, but then we're going to have to get a third dog, and before you know it, there's just a dog in every room.
Dogs.
Yeah, it's just like that's obviously not true. But if you say, okay, your wife has done this many times in the past where she'll want to go shopping for groceries, and she says that she's just going to get one thing, and then she gets a lot, and then she's going to want to go to the antique store, and she says that she has like one thing in mind, and then she gets a lot, and then she says that you want to go get food, and she says she's not hungry, and then she just eats your food. This is a pattern that you've seen many times in the past, and that's not a slippery slope fallacy. And I hate to be kind of crazy about this, but it's like I just want people to get their logic correct, because
pattern noticing is racist.
Well, that's true. That's true. It's actually funny because they have to get people to stop noticing patterns. That they have this magnetic field machine that can make you stop noticing patterns now, or that they made a while ago.
Shut up.
Well, in the lab anyway, it can make you stop being racist by shutting off your threat response center in the brain. And it's like, yeah, it makes you stupider. It makes you into a liberal. Your racism is a feature. You have been evolved into group competition.
I'm trying to look for the machine.
Magnetic fields, brain racism.
Magnetic fields due to your brain and body.
Yeah.
Discover magazine.
Disabling parts of the brain with magnets can weaken faith in God and changes attitudes in immigrants, study finds.
I see it. Let me see.
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, so
it's in the private chat.
I'll put it up on the screen for people who are the few people that are watching right now. Let me see if I can disable it. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
There we go. There it is. Disabling parts of the brain with magnets can weaken faith in God and change attitudes to immigrants, study finds. By shutting down the threat processing center of the brain, scientists weakened people's faith in God, made them less prejudiced. Now, that's when the conspiracy part comes out, right? A joint team of American and British scientists have discovered that powerful magnetic pulses to the brain can temporarily change people's feelings on a variety of subjects, from their belief in God to their attitude to immigration. The study, published in the Journal of Social, Cognitive, and Affective Neuroscience, saw scientists use a metal coil to create strong magnetic fields around certain parts of the brain. The non-invasive practice is called transcranial magnetic stimulation and can be used to treat depression. However, researchers have now found that by targeting the part of the brain that deals with threats, they can temporarily change people's beliefs and views. Now, do you think there's a big machine in big cities that's just pumping this shit out?
No, I don't think it.
You don't think so? Quite. You don't think it goes that far?
Not yet. But yeah, it reveals, if you have to, disable a portion of the brain, it reveals that not being racist is actually brain damage. There's actually one group of people that are not racist at all. And those are people with Williams syndrome. It's a form of mental retardation. And they have no biases whatsoever. And they think everybody is their friend. And they're not skeptical of anybody. And it's just...
So they're literally sub-IQ retarded people, though. There's other things wrong with them.
Yeah, as I understand it. But this is like one of the features of this specific syndrome, is that they have no biases and they love everybody. And it's just it's like, yeah, okay, liberalism is a form of brain damage. These people are damaged.
Well, aren't there studies about them being more neurotic and such?
Yeah, they're more neurotic. They are they lack a sense of there's several different things when we talk about purity and or morality, and they lack a sense of moral sacredness. So this is why they're comfortable with tearing down statues. Conservatives, right-wing people, actually have more types of morality than liberal people. Liberal people don't have additional types of morality beyond the right-wing set. I mean, this is kind of like neurological stuff. It's neuropolitics. That they actually have simpler versions of morality. And they're also more asymmetrical. They have weaker immune systems, lower testosterone. They're physically weaker. They have worse allergies. They're higher in every type of mental illness except for Asperger's.
Interesting. Huh.
I mean, they really are.
And that's the left. This, you're talking about left-wing people, liberals in general?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. So it's, I mean, there's the common phrase, liberalism is a mental disorder, but maybe it is a side effect of some underlying mental disorder or disorders.
Well, yeah. Okay, so this is spiteful mutant theory, where you actually have spiteful mutants who are affecting the behavior of people around them. So
I know you can do that.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah. That they're affecting the behavior of people around them. So the idea is that you have like a honeybee, right? This is from Ed Dutton. You have a honeybee
Okay.
that has a mutation, and it gives too much royal jelly to bee larvae, and it creates too many queen drones, too many queens, and the result is the queens fight, and this results in a hive collapse.
Okay.
So this one mutation in this one drone caused a hive collapse by like cascading effects. And so you can see with feminism that you have these horrible mutant women, these grotesque creatures that come up with these stupid ideas, and they get into a position of power where they indoctrinate all of these actually very feminine young pretty girls who are I mean, would you see someone and they're symmetrical and they're healthy? That's really a sign of genetic strength. I mean, these are genetically strong women who are being molded into something else by these mutants.
And being destroyed with birth control pills and all sorts of hormones on top
Yeah.
of that. So they're getting it physically. They're getting it, psychologically. They're getting it physiologically. I can't speak at all. They're getting it from all ends. They're being indoctrinated. They're taking the pills, which, I saw somewhere that it does all sorts of things, like lowers vitamin absorption of different vitamins. Let me see. Hold on. I retweeted somebody. It had a whole cascade of bad things about birth control. Let me see if I can find it. All right. This is going to take forever. Apparently, I retweet everything. I don't tweet a lot, but I retweet a shit ton. Anyway, but yeah, apparently. Okay, here it is. It depletes your body of folic acid, magnesium, vitamin B2, vitamin B6, vitamin B12, vitamin C, vitamin E, and zinc. Women taking the pill are 23% more likely to be prescribed antidepressants. So you're taking the pill, so here's another pill to offset the impact of the initial pill. What about the mood changes women report on the pill? Being on the pill is associated. Let me do this real quick. Fuck it. I'll just read it. Being on the pill is associated with an increased risk of being diagnosed with anxiety and depression, though there are some women who report the pill stabilizes their moods. The association was particularly high in young women aged 15 to 19, and their suicide risk is also more than twice that of non-pill takers. Wow. Okay, so, and then, because they're showing these suicidal ideations, having these thoughts, they're going to be given, an SSRI or some sort of, or combination, a cocktail of pills. Sad. And usually, the women with who are giving off the pheromones or who seem to be strong breeders, that is being stomped out by the pill.
Yeah.
The birth control. I don't know if if it works the same with IUDs. I don't. I just know so. The pills. The pill. Yeah. My wife was never on the pill, so she never has had any female problems. Surprise, surprise. She's a normal human being. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
And she wasn't. Cum bucket like most women are these days. Especially when I met her, she was like 20 when I met her. Married her when she was 21. This is 14 years ago. Holy shit. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I actually met her on MySpace, talking on MySpace. I had this bot because I was doing poetry readings. I was really into poetry, and this is my early 20s. And I would host poetry readings in New York City and around New Jersey. So I had this bot on MySpace that would send out flyers or messages, custom tailored to the demographic I wanted to send the message out to. So I would go women 18 to 25 within a 50-mile radius, and it would put their first name as dear whatever, and then send out the message. And women would respond. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I'd be a slut back then. But she responded, and then we started talking, and now 14 years and a baby, and 3 kids.
Did they have an API, or how do you do that?
I don't know. I paid $10 for it. That's all I know. That's all I know. It worked. I would meet women in like Barnes and Nobles all the time, but like, this is my book. So it worked. I mean, it was a shitty poetry book published by my college that I would never tell anyone to read right now, because I was totally different mindset back then. But it's, it's impressive. Oh, banging an author. Now it's like anyone can publish. Click on an Amazon link, you can publish, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. It's a good thing, but you get shit when you publish or when you self-publish, or even when you go through a school. Especially, I think, if you go through school now, imagine the stuff they're publishing through colleges.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to destroy the colleges.
Yeah. I being a young man in the early 2000s, late 90s, it was fun. You didn't have the worry that my kids are going to have about, being accused of rape if you take a signal wrong, Like if she winks at you and comes closer to you and puts her hand on your leg, you're supposed to go, can I kiss you now? I mean, it's kind of weird and awkward, and it breaks the mood. Like, you just knew. Like, okay, I can move in and kiss this girl.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for hundreds of thousands of years.
Well, I think beyond a certain point, they just, threw them over their shoulder.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Forget consent.
It's been this way for a long time.
Yeah. Centuries.
But well, they talked about this when there was the Arab Empire collapse. That they would have pop stars, and they had women lawyers, and these pop stars would sing very suggestive sexual songs,
right?
And that they called it a sabiyah, the will to do things, and it was gone. The Arabs lost the sabiyah, but these outsiders, like the Crusaders, they still had a sabiyah. Okay. And that's why they were able to win, even though they were massively outnumbered all the time. Yeah,
it was kind of crazy, the Crusades, how even like Dracula played a role in them, the whole history.
Well, that was a bit later, but
yeah. The entire, what is it, like 600-year span of the Crusades. Well, you think about the emergence of Islam in the 600s, in the late 600s, right? And then it just was like a warlord just expanding and taking territory and, mating with the native population, and kept going until they hit Christian lands. And then the West was like, fuck, Byzantium just fell.
Yeah. And they never got it back.
Nope.
It's kind of interesting, you can see how Christianity was already dead by the time of the Crimean War. If the British were serious Christians, they would have just allowed the Russians to go to town on the Ottomans. Take back Constantinople.
Yeah.
But they intervened, and they weren't allowed to happen.
Well, look at us now. We're a Christian nation, quote unquote, right? Our top 5 biggest purchasers of weapons are, I think, Muslim countries. Saudi Arabia being the first one. Egypt's in there. Of course, Iraq's in there. I can't think of the other 2, but those are 3 of the top. And Saudi Arabia is the number 1 purchaser of arms. So we didn't fuck Christian. I don't care who you blowing up. Just blow each other up.
Yeah. So how long do you want to keep going? We went for an hour.
few more minutes.
Yeah.
I guess let's keep rolling. All right, let's see what happened with the.
Let's do an hour and a half. How about that?
You want to do an hour and a half?
Yeah.
Kind of keep that. That's a fair. I don't like doing 2-hour shows. Those wear me out. I used to do. I think I did a 4-hour show once. I was out. I don't know how some of these guys do it. The morning show guys and the radio show guys, they have like 8,000 breaks, and they have producers, and I understand that. But some of these streamers that do like 6-hour streams, 10-hour streams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had no idea.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, yeah, you need like other people structuring the topics for today. You need
a
commercial
producer.
breaks.
Yeah. Well, the gaming streams make sense. Like PewDiePie, he was doing gaming streams of The Last of Us 2 for like 3.5 hours. You're playing a game and going, whoa, look at this guy. There's a tranny.
Yeah.
But
just reaction to something.
But 2 or 3 people just having a conversation. I couldn't do it. Like Ralph, my buddy Ethan Ralph, he does those long million-year streams. But then again, he has like 10, sometimes 8 people on. But I don't know how he does it. He does it. I couldn't do it.
Well, he lets them talk,
He's kind of the moderator.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Anti-Bully, Mr. Medicare, he got axed.
I saw that, yeah.
From Twitter.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's just, again, I've been thinking about free speech. And let me ask you what you think about this take.
Okay.
That free speech is really occupational warfare. That the religious class and the nobility would oppress the intellectuals.
Okay.
And when the intellectuals got their own country, which is what America was, what they did was make it so that they were above reproach. They had free speech and freedom of the press.
Mm-hmm.
So just completely untouchable. And then they abolished the power of the clergy and they abolished the nobility altogether. And it's like, these are not... And I'm ragging on free speech because this is how our country has fallen. That, oh, well, this university is, has a communist teaching kids. That's fine. It's free speech, marketplace of ideas.
But if it was a Nazi...
Well,
maybe...
yeah, but I mean... Like what? Why are we allowing these communists to walk around at all? Why are we allowing them to say these anti-white things?
Well, the idea was everyone could say anything they want, but that's never the case.
Yeah,
not even back then was that the case.
Yeah, and now they're trying to close the trap, and they're just going to repeat this thing over and over again that hate speech isn't free speech, and it's going to work. I mean, we're going to see that in our lifetime.
Well,
there's a shift in that.
I was a Ron Paul, John Birch Society libertarian for a while, and you were a libertarian type for a while, right?
I was an ANCAP for a while, yeah.
Yeah, when I first met you. And to see like Reason.com and all these supposed libertarians going, well, it is a private industry, so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah,
it's
like
that's libertarianism. Whoa, was I wrong?
It's just one of these kind of bizarre things where the left found out that the right won't even defend themselves if you use a corporation to do it.
Yeah, it just has to have a tax ID attached to it. Nothing you can do. It's fucking wild.
It's just impossible, and it doesn't matter if you're colluding. It's fine, but we need to have an immune system. We need to have an intellectual immune system. I mean, these intellectuals, these communists that are teaching in colleges, and these other people who are spreading terrible ideas, they are more dangerous than a mugger. Imagine if someone stole $500 million from Minneapolis. This would be a huge story.
Worldwide manhunt.
Yeah, for the man who stole $500 million from Minneapolis, or who persuaded Trump to give him $35 billion. Who was able to do this through lobbying, or who stole that amount of money from the federal government. we would never stop searching for this guy. But, well, someone's just saying these words and they create a mind virus that makes people riot and do crazy things. And we just give them a free pass.
Well, and the intellectuals on our side, for example, we our old show, the Western Weekly, we had on Kurt Doolittle, and I would consider him on our side, right?
Yeah.
Part of the right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Propretarianism. And, I mean, I'm a Catholic, so we part ways with spirituality, but he doesn't have that cachet as like a Dershowitz, when in public theater.
And supposedly, Doolittle has a Ferrari. He's made, I think I heard him say that he made like 40 different companies or something like that. Like, he is a very successful man, much more so than a much more interesting intellectual than someone like Bill Kristol, but has nowhere near the range. Just people interested in an intellectual novelty would be interested in this figure.
Yeah, it's just like midwits like me and up.
Well, anyone who wants to listen to interesting takes should be interested in Kurt Doolittle, but just completely shut out of the system by these people, and like I think the worst case scenario would be that we win, and then we actually have real free speech, and this whole cycle just happens again because we're not willing to defend ourselves against these creatures that are haunting our institutions.
Well, it took Christianity. Think about it. All right, so Jesus, founder of Christianity, right? God, in my opinion, and in real life, he is God. That's what they tell me. I'll tell you. Okay, let me finish this story, then I'll go to the next one because I have going off tangents. Okay, so ever since he was revealed, Christians have been trying to formulate something for self-defense, like you were saying, an immune system within Christianity itself, so it doesn't be overtaken. Because Christianity initially was spread by blood, by martyrs. People would die for the religion, whereas in other religions, people kill for the religion. Early Christianity, people would die for the religion. And people were like, that motherfucker is either crazy or he really saw God. And if you have like 100 of these people doing it, well, either 100 people are really crazy or they really saw God. So anyway, so all these people are dying, and then eventually it was a state. Constantine came, and it was a state religion. I think St. Ambrose started fiddling around with just war theory. Then it moved to St. Augustine, and finally to St. Thomas Aquinas, and it's still being meddled with. What's called the just war theory. Only do it in self-defense. That's when you go to war. These types. It took over 1,000 years for Christians to figure it out. I don't even know how secular society, if they would ever be able to figure something like that out.
Just war theory?
Yeah, it's called the just war theory.
In what sense would secular society not be able to figure it out?
Well, like what's an ethical war? When is it right to go to war? When is it right to defend yourself? When is it like what's the moral behind it? If there are no, if it's secular, then it's kind of.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I guess it hasn't. I think our just war theory has been a disaster, to be honest.
All right, so the just war doctrine of the Catholic Church was founded in the 1992 Catechism. The legitimate defense by military force, the damage inflicted by the aggressor on the nation or community of nations must be lasting, grave, and certain. All other means of putting an end to it must have been shown to be impractical or ineffective. There must be serious prospects of success. The use of arms must not produce evils and disorders graver than the evil to be eliminated. The power of modern means of destruction weighs very heavily in evaluating this condition. So it's like that's like the bullet. It's a lot more complicated, but that's kind of like the bullet point version. And the catechism is.
I think we're going to have to reconquer our nations, and maybe we'll need a new just war theory for that.
Hold on, I gotta highlight this comment. You're right. It isn't an option. That's why opinion. That's why I corrected myself. That Jesus is or isn't God. I'm Catholic, so I would like to think I do believe he is God. I pray a rosary, so that would be pointless, just praying a rosary for no reason. Even though it's lots of Eastern Christians don't pray the rosary, but Ruthenians, it's encouraged. Ruthenian Byzantine Christians. It's a very small branch of the Catholic Church, because when people say Catholic, they think default, because we're in the West, Roman Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
When you think Catholic, when you hear the word Catholic, you think of Roman. You don't think Orthodox. You think Roman Catholic Church. Well, Byzantine rite and the Byzantine tradition is kind of a mixture of both. I wouldn't even say it's a mixture. It's kind of like it's been described as the church has two lungs to breathe through, right? Each lung is equal, and they both breathe life into the church. And a lot of the Orthodox churches, capital O, when they decide to go to Rome with the Pope, I mean, they're just kind of put under a different rite. When the rare times that have happened over the centuries. And I just happen to be Ruthenian Byzantine Catholic. So I get a lot, but being an Eastern Christian in a Western nation, it's hard to find English literature. Oh yeah, the Orthodox pray the Jesus prayer. Yep, I have my chukki. I say the Jesus prayer. Jesus prayer very short. But anyway, it's very hard to find literature that isn't in like Russian or Ukrainian on the religion. I don't speak Russian or Ukrainian, so it's kind of tough. I would like to. Every time I read about a country or like Germany or Russia, I go, I want to learn that language. And then you do like a trial of Rosetta Stone, and after like an hour, you're like, no, never mind.
Yeah, it's quite an undertaking.
Do you speak another language?
Afraid not.
Afraid not.
I can speak jive pretty well.
Speak jive, turkey.
Jive turkey.
What happened to the Drudge Report?
I don't know. It's turned into like a hive of villainy. just villainy and stupidity. Well, I mean, I think there are a bit to your takes that we could make about that.
Yeah, that's first off, but it just seems like who backs Drudge used to be. Well, I used to think of, maybe I was looking through rose-colored glasses. I'm a Republican, therefore the Drudge Report is good, and I don't know. Even with when I come to think about it, even when Ron Paul was running, he would point out articles criticizing him, going the anti-Semite this and anti-Semite that, and
oh God, not that. Oh God.
Oh dear.
Oh no. So I saw this this funny thing. It was a page from a medical textbook, and let me read this to you.
Right.
It says. It's about how different cultures are cultural differences in response to pain. So it says that Arabs are stoic, Asians are stoic. Blacks often report higher pain intensity than other cultures. They believe suffering and pain are inevitable. They believe in prayer and laying on hands to heal pain, and believe that relief is proportional to faith. Jews may be vocal and demanding of assistance. They believe that pain must be shared and validated by others.
Okay.
And then Hispanics are stoic and Native Americans are stoic. And so it's just like one of these things. And they're really upset about this. It's like, how dare you recognize patterns? Why would you do this?
Yeah. How much of the media is represented Okay, so if Jewish people only make up 2% of the American population, how much of media do they make up per capita?
Do you
Do you
want
think?
to,
Do you have a number, like a relative idea?
do you want to cover BitChute tier?
Well, just give me a number. You think?
That I think it is.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Define. You mean like media
Like
owners, media
presidents,
personalities?
yeah, owners and presidents. Yeah, personalities. The whole thing.
I would say 80%.
80%. That's disproportionate.
That is my guesstimate based on charts that I've seen.
And don't you think when it comes to entertainment that African Americans are overrepresented?
Yeah. Yeah. They do that a lot where they hire them. Put
them in a window.
Well, they make them tokens. They try to have the diversity on purpose rather than let it be a meritocracy. You know,
gays are what, 1 to 2% of the population. They say 6%, but I don't believe that fucking shit. 1 to 2% of the population, maybe 2%, and they're like in every fucking TV show.
Yeah. Well. I mean, going back to what you said, the first question, Jews are very gay.
What's the percentage?
According to one Jewish newspaper, like 1/3 of Israelis are bisexual.
Stop.
That's what they say amongst themselves.
That's just weird.
I've seen other estimates that they're much higher in this. Kurt Doolittle has a more sophisticated, elaborate take that Jews have actually specialized in feminine communication, and thus the downside of that is higher homosexuality, higher neuroticism, and higher female spectrum mental illnesses.
Huh.
But they get this wonderful ability to moralize like a woman, but with the aggressiveness of
that emotional sort of thinking.
Yeah, where they say things over and over again until it's true.
You're racist. You're racist. You're racist. You're racist.
Yeah,
and then eventually they become a racist. The person. Did that Mel Gibson movie come out yet?
I don't know. Let's look that up.
I want to watch it because apparently he's in Puerto Rico.
Which Mel Gibson movie?
Force of Nature.
Force of Nature. Yes, it came out in 2020.
June 30th. So yeah, it came out like 3 days ago, and you can watch it on Prime Video for $6. And maybe after the show, this is what I'll be watching. I try to watch every Mel Gibson movie, and the critics or whoever give it a 4.3 stars out of 1,000. But I'm sure it's because Mel Gibson's a racist bad man. He's a bad man.
Yeah, he's a very bad man. Mel Gibson, Rothschild. He was doing a movie about Rothschilds.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't see that. It just gets Sudoku'd.
Anyway, you want to end it there?
No.
I feel like we're losing energy.
Are we? Hold on. Let me do something here. I'm not going to do that anyway. No, just when are we? Let's wrap it up. Kind of. When are we going to do this again? Do we even know when we're going to do it again?
Let's aim for next. Well, let's not try to do a Friday. I think that was probably part of why we have such low ratings today.
Yeah. Well, when people see it on the podcast, like on iTunes and Spotify, those listens will skyrocket. With this show, it's always been low YouTube views, but high podcast views and listens. And we don't have any sponsors or anything yet, any codes to give out. So I'm going to look into that for us. Okay. This is off-air talk, but I'm doing it on air. So we're going to look for some sponsors and codes, and people can support us. And we got to pay for podcast hosting and all that fun shit. We don't have a website. I might maybe get one and just forward it to here. I don't know. So we're not going. You don't want to do Fridays.
No, how about Wednesday? How about that?
Wednesdays, starting this Wednesday or next Wednesday?
Let's do this Wednesday.
This Wednesday, what is that? That is the 8th. Yeah, so 10 p.m.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, this is what we do. We schedule our show on the show. So we'll do it Wednesdays at 10 p.m. I already texted my pal Pat Dixon. He's a comedian. He has a show, New York City Crime Report, over on Anthony Cumia's network, Compound Media. He's also somehow a New York City comedian. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah,
with his views, but he has his Trumpian views. He still does it. He's really fucking funny. Google search Pat Dixon Live or Pat Dixon Comedy. He's a funny guy. He works blue. So if you're offended, you're offended. Sorry. If that's not your sort of thing. But he said he'll come on this month sometime. So we'll try to set that straight. And we'll and probably some of the old usual guys too, like Rich and
I won't be available next Wednesday. Actually, I'm sorry. That's a brain part on my part. I'll contact you. We'll figure something out.
We'll figure it. Okay, we'll figure it out. Well, just go to Ian D. Erickson on Twitter or Question M Things on Twitter, or subscribe on Apple. Give thumbs up, likes, whatever you have to do. It shows me, it shows us that we're actually doing a little something. I'm disabled. I can't do much out there on the street, so I do a lot in the sheets. I hate myself.
You should hate yourself. That was terrible.
That was really bad.
That was
really bad. I meant to do that.
That was a war crime.
It was a Holocaust.
It was a Holocaust, even.
All right, you have anything else you want to say before I end it?
I have a really cool speech from Alexander the Great that's on my Twitter profile. Check that out. It's really remarkable. Just the kind of rhetoric they had back then. Like you were saying, I mean, this whole just war concept, I don't think it's been good for us. I really don't. I think we need to one thing that's interesting is that they will accuse you of fascism if you advocate for the interests of your own people. I mean, that's the core that they're upset about. That they actually accused Ayn Rand of being a fascist, which doesn't make any sense from a political science point of view.
That makes no sense.
But they were so opposed to her morality of self-interest that's what they said to her. And conquest and colonization are the most profitable undertakings in human history. And we have to get back to a point where we can justify the conquest of some place.
Well, yeah.
Let's say Madagascar.
Convert the natives. Don't
convert the natives. Remove the natives. Conquer Madagascar, remove the natives, and just make it French Australia. We need to get back to that point.
French Australia.
We'll have vanilla wine and nude beaches.
I don't think we're gonna, maybe in 100, 200 years, we'll see something like that happen. But I don't think in our lifetime we'll see something like that, where people are just nuking places.
Don't nuke them.
To go there.
That
or just wipe them out.
That decreases the property value significantly.
Just sail to Cameroon and just wipe them all out and go, this is mine now.
No, just you establish a beachhead and you put a wall around it and you say, no, you can't come in. And then now you have a city-state.
I'd like, this is going to come off like Russia sympathizer, but I kind of like what Russia does as far as not the communism stuff, but like what they're doing right now as far as their immigration policy. They have such a strict immigration, because I looked, I was like, what do you have to do to move to Russia? It's fucking impossible. If you're not like going to marry a Russian woman, it's impossible. And
I was actually joking about that the other day. Maybe I should try to find a Russian mail order bride so I can move to Russia.
Yeah, Thaddeus Belmont makes a point. He wrote, "Has no one thought that colonization was to our detriment?" What do you
I'd
think?
have to hear an explanation of that. I don't see how it was. I see that how um, certain kinds of colonization were not great for us, but I don't see the colonization of the Americas or Australia as being much of a problem.
Those are the two biggest, ones. But like France, I mean, did England or Great Britain really benefit from the colonization of India? Like now,
Well, now
right,
it's
right now, or who has
well,
benefited more, India or the UK, as of right now?
as of right now, I mean the UK. I mean the UK is giving India payments.
Right.
They're giving them foreign aid, and they're just. I mean, these former colonies are just an albatross around Britain's neck, and we have to get to the point where you can just drop a colony and not pay them any money.
Peace out.
I mean, this kind
Not,
of
I'll text them back.
altruism. Yeah, it's ridiculous. What's happening, and I mean, part of it is egalitarian morality that we can't admit that these people are awful because they're awful people.
White
You
people
know,
are too nice. We're too nice.
yeah. Well, I mean, to balance out, we have to create an ethos, a
And
conqueror's ethos.
with all this race shit that's going on, publicly, I'm like a sweetie. I'm a sweetheart unless I have to protect my children or myself or something like that. Like I hold doors for everyone, and regardless of who I smile, I'll nod to you while we're in line at the grocery store. I'll let you go. I'll wave you through if you're making a left. I don't care who's in the car. But with all this, like, I have to be on my guard. If I hold the door for this black woman, will they go, "Oh, I'm a black woman, I can do it myself"? You have these thoughts nipping at you. Am I being too nice? It's freaking retarded. I think that 70s to 80s and the 90s and some of the early 2000s, I thought we were there, and then this happened. Even like early 2010s, it wasn't like this. This is like 5 years worth of nonsense.
Well, it's all. I mean, we've seen this before. The Goths were allowed refugee status in the Roman Empire because the Huns were going to wipe them out. And I think like 15 years later, they had sacked Rome and executed the emperor. Do not allow refugees into your country.
Especially your military.
Yeah, do not allow them into your military. Do not allow them into your country. I mean, it's all downhill. And it's just going to keep getting faster.
You know what?
I think that now we're being punished for that. That's what Thaddeus Belmont said. No, we what is it that the woe to the vanquished. Yeah, so vae victis is Latin for woe to the conquered or woe to the vanquished.
I'm gonna play that speech, and we'll put our mics on mute when you're done with what your point you're making.
Well, okay, so the Celtic warlord Brennus occupied the city of Rome, and that he negotiated an amount of gold to be paid to him, and this was placed on the scales, and then once they had met that amount of gold that he had requested, he had learned a little bit of Latin at the time, and he said "vae victis," which means "woe to the vanquished."
Right.
Woe to the conquered, meaning you have to match the weight of my sword in gold, in addition to the sum that we had agreed upon. I think he was then defeated by a Roman army that had been forming in the countryside. But he wanted 1,000 pounds of gold. And yeah, we are being punished because we have been vanquished. We are being punished for being weak. That is why we are being punished.
And with that, I'm gonna put myself on mute. Wait, I don't know if I have to go on mute or not. So whatever, I'll just mic mute it, and I'll put that speech on. So I may just stay on,
Okay.
and I'll put this on. Hold on, let me find it. The greatest speech in history. All right.